Hi, this is a moment of calm beauty in what is a pretty chaotic and stressful 2022. As we approach the halfway point of 2022, I think we all have good reasons to feel anxious and stressed. And we all have coping mechanisms, both good and bad. Food, coffee, alcohol, cigarettes, narcotics, violence, aggression, whatever you use to cope with the internal anxiety and stress is probably causing you and people around you more harm than good. But why are we all stressed in 2022? Is it how we're looking at the glass? The glass is neither half empty nor half full. It just is. And now I happen to think the glass is probably going to shatter and break and cut my artery and I'll bleed to death. If you find yourself anxious or stressed, you can find an absolute plethora online of tips and ideas about how you can become happier and less stressful and less anxious. But are any of them any good? Or is the search for curing your own stress and anxiety causing you more stress and anxiety? So why are we stressed in 2022? Well, war, generally speaking, is kind of a bad thing, but from war becomes new possibilities and often creativity, and often the people engaged in war, both directly and indirectly, often feel kind of fulfilled and kind of happy. But Huples, what about nuclear war? Nuclear! Well, I happen to think if we have an all-out nuclear war, we all die. But you've got to remember, we're all dying anyway. We all die. You, me, poor little Wolfie. We're all on a journey from birth to death. The only thing different in nuclear war is a lot of us would die at the same time, and probably not very pleasantly. You can't actually protect yourself 100% from anything. So if you watch a lot of prepper videos, you might be mistaken in believing you can. I'm not saying here adapt and survive. What I'm saying is adapt and enjoy. Plan, figure out, learn actual information, plan for disasters of all types and try and mitigate them and have fun doing so. This can involve family camping or hiking trips. Nuclear war directly led to nuclear energy. Nuclear energy in Ontario powers about 60% of all of our lights. It powers none of mine, I'm off grid, this is solar and sadly propane. But nuclear energy in of itself could be causing you stress and anxiety. But what about a pandemic? Well, we have a pandemic. It's called COVID-19 and it's still going on. And I think mostly the population did well considering we hadn't had a full-blown pandemic of real duration since 1918 to 1922. That's right, folks, you've got about another 2 years of COVID-19. But for the forced isolation and the feeling bad and lonely, you could have turned that on its head and create new virtual spaces. You could learn skills. You could do things. You can make the forced isolation a positive or not. But often we get depressed and anxious and stressful by over-focusing on things we have no real control over. And that blocks us from using changed circumstances, which may be bad, like everything's shut and I've lost my job, from actually focusing on creating new possibilities in ways that are safe. If nothing else, I do like the crazy ways people laughed at the pandemic and also enjoyed it as far as they could. You've got to laugh at the face of death, otherwise you're going to cry. Generally all of our governments led us badly, ineptly, and without any real connection to the actual science. They imposed mandates on us when they didn't need to, they kept mandates going for too long, and then even worse, they removed mandates when they should have kept them in place. Generally, it was inept. And you're all going to go, but my Facebook post and all of my friends say blah blah blah. Couldn't care less. 2 years of this pandemic, the data's in. Get vaccinated, get boosted, wear an N95 when cases are rising when you go out and about, wash your hands a bit, and be careful. But during any sort of lockdown, whether it's civil war, you're trying to go out, or war, you're trying to go out, or it's a pandemic, or the aliens have invaded, or there's radiation, during any time of lockdown, what you want to do is create things. You want to cook slowly, new dishes. You want to learn new hobbies that take very little energy and money but give you a sense of fulfillment. And that varies from person to person. You use or lose your sense of self and your sense of relaxation. Once you start getting anxious, once you start getting worried, once you start watching certain videos every single day, you create a brainwashing bubble. A bubble that makes you toxic. Which is why on my channel on a regular basis I do things that have got nothing to do with prepping and aren't that bad and are kind of fun. And yes, they get low viewership, but it's not for you that I do most of these videos, it's for me, so I can do research and learn to be a better prepper and actually a better person, because I really have a long way to go in that direction. Now, if you're not sitting there thinking, yeah, that's great, but Huples, what about the poor? What about the people that lost their jobs? The poor, the unskilled, the obese, the unhealthy, the old, the disabled, the marginalised, they always get hit worse in any sort of disaster, no matter what the cause is. And socialism and governments exist to reduce that effect, but that effect's always going to be there. Make the best of your own circumstances. Don't not do things that are positive for you because of X, Y, and Z. If it's really hot where you are and you've got no money, figure out if you can go to a library. Figure out if you can volunteer in a food bank that's got air conditioning. Figure out how to give. If you give, you usually feel good and you usually don't feel anxious and stressed. Human-caused climate change, fire, floods, pestilence, you name it, are getting worse and worse every passing year. I mean, it's kind of obvious to me. You may disagree. I couldn't care less. The science and the data are in. The discussion's over. But of all the many things to worry about and take responsibility for, fix what you can and don't worry about things you cannot fix. You cannot make the world fairer. You cannot prevent corruption. You cannot magically have a civil war and put yourself as President of the United States and get rid of trans rights because you don't like gay people. Whatever the issue is, figure out what you can genuinely do that's not going to be unpleasant or hurtful to others and do it. If you do unhelpful things to others, that actually is corrosive to you. That's actually going to make you embittered. So what do I do after a hard day making a video on nuclear extermination of the human species? What I do is I acknowledge and accept the pain and grief that I see in the natural world and human-caused worlds, and understand it's causing me stress and pain. It's not nice to study and present on human extinction. Alright, if you stuck to me to this point, this is definitely not, and absolutely will not ever be, a video that tells you how to live your life in ways that are going to make you less stressed. It's about what I do. Might help you, might not help you. If you want somebody online to tell you what to do with your life to make yourself happier, there's plenty and plenty of people out there to do it. What I would say, if you've got clinical depression or clinical anxiety disorder, what you really do need to do is go to a health professional. I'm a retired nurse, but I'm not in that specialty at all. Neither are most of the people online dispensing advice. Telling people to go to the movies is not helping them deal with the pain, grief, suffering and stress that pretty much everybody's feeling today. Helps. But can you stop if you start screaming? Be careful. I do these things, not every time and not perfectly, but I try. Trying is important. Every day I try to improve the quality of living in our new rural home. I did this a few days ago. I pulled out the old steps and replaced them with some found wood on the site. Not bad, eh? It's a fix. What it needs is to be completely removed and completely rebuilt. But I don't really have time for it, and this will definitely work for 2022. And I'm happy I did it. I emptied all of the kitchen shelves and cleaned them all. I got all of the spare drawers out and put the drawers in that we're going to use. And I took the extra drawers and I put them away. And I restocked the shelves in a way that's less chaotic and more ordered. I did it over 4 days. I don't need to rush. I'm retired. Don't put time pressure on yourself to do tasks when you don't need to. Enjoy the actual task. Listen to your body. Do you feel up to it today? Good. If you don't, then don't. But I have more energy between 9 o'clock and 11 a.m. than any other time of the day. So that's when I'm scheduling a lot of the physical tasks. When I'm walking little Wolfie on his morning toilet, I observe, I don't just look. Just missed out on the fiddleheads here. Maybe another year. Get out really early and grab them when they're small. I have big multi-day, multi-week, actually multi-month plans to do projects. I'm taking my time. I'm not rushing this stuff. I cleared this area a bit and started to make a trail, but it's getting buggy, so I'm going to wait till the fall. But I cleared this here to make my own wood chopping block. And it works great. I'm very proud of this. Quite flimsy, very thin. But so far, nothing has climbed it. And the birds really enjoy it. Big reveal! On Monday, 2 days from now, Kitty, Wolfie and myself are going to this national capital. We're going to spend 28 nights in an Airbnb in the downtown core. It's actually going to cost us much less than you might think. We haven't really explored this capital city called Ottawa, and I want to, and Kitty wants to, and more importantly, it gets Wolfie away from the bugs which are starting to bite him quite badly. He's our little old chap, and our job is to look after Wolfie. If we go to war, it looks imminent. I will be returning here quite quickly. And I'm going to put a little hiking kits together for me and Kitty, so when we go hiking we can have fun. Because we're going to Ottawa, I'm getting rid of some old rice, and I'm also going to bury some potatoes that have gone to seed. Whether there'll be a crop of them or not, I don't know. I will find out in July. I'm not going to cut them, I'm just putting them straight in, see if they do. So I have 5, 10, 12. Very shallow buried, we'll see. I'm not going to be watering these potatoes for 28 days either, so they'll probably just rot and go back into the ground, which is actually okay. I planted them whole because it actually makes them more resilient than cutting them into slips, and they're pretty dehydrated to start with and they're going to be abused. There was a pile of stuff here. I'm working on this, but I've moved a ton of stuff and put it in a junk pile. More to go. The really important thing is to improve where you live and the home you live in each and every day, or most days, as far as you can. Simple, small things, but do them and feel good about yourself when you've done it. I pick up litter on the road around here. Kitty doesn't. She does other things that improve the area that makes her feel satisfied. What I do isn't what you should do. So I mentioned this, I actually did find some white trilliums. The white trillium is actually the provincial flower of Ontario. I will say that when you are stressed and highly anxious, don't make so many plans that you start none of them. People write lists all the time. I write lists on an occasional basis, and I make a point of checking them off, and sometimes it takes me 3 months to finish them all. But I always finish them all. But I don't write many lists. Do have a mixture of short, medium and long range plans. Don't just have short or long range plans. Don't have expensive or free plans. Mix stuff up so you can do what you feel like on any given day. Be flexible, but be really kind to yourself. One of my more long-term projects is to renovate these compost bins. They need a lot of repair. Should be actually fairly easy to do it, but it's a big project, so it probably won't be this year. That said, storage and organisation should always be high priorities. Clearing out the small wood shed so we can actually put wood in it. Apart from the obvious benefits, and also the obvious benefits of mitigating disaster, order causes chaos to be removed. It causes you to feel less anxious and less stressed. Imposing external order is a way of actually controlling internal disorder. I think that's the reason why a lot of people prep. They can't control a very uncertain world, but by prepping, they feel they are. So far I've collected this amount of junk. Wolf feed, of course, is not junk, and this will have to go in a skip, and I'm going to organise that when we get back from Ottawa. That's it. Have a great day. Do not feel overwhelmed in 2022. Breathe from the belly. Stay calm. Make sure you do things and watch things that give you nothing but pleasure and happiness. Stay informed. Get information. But remember, whatever happens, we will be okay. Or we'll be dead. But either way, what are you worrying about? It's a beautiful day. Go out there. Go for a walk. Sit on a bench. Smile at somebody randomly on the street. Pick up some litter. Thanks as ever for watching. I really appreciate it. I also appreciate the comments. Feel free to give me them or don't. If you don't like the video or you disagree with what I'm saying, please feel free to tell me why. Try not to be just negative, because really there's a lot of negativity out there, and I occasionally indulge in it, and I'm not proud of myself for that. But we all should try to be a little bit more pleasant. Doodles. This has been a 2022 starving terrier trying to eat grass because of the famine production.